Welcome, everyone, to day one of the inaugural Women of Bitcoin Summit. I'm Natalie Brunell, and wherever you're joining from today, we are so glad you're here. We know that we have women joining us from across the United States, across Europe, Central and South America, the Middle East, Asia, Africa, and beyond. Some of you are watching live, and some of you are joining us from very different time zones, late at night or early in the morning. So thank you for joining us. We're also live streaming this first session to YouTube, Rumble, and X. So welcome, everybody. We're so grateful that you're here. This summit was created with very clear intentions: building confidence and connection, and clarity over complexity, because Bitcoin can often be presented in ways that feel technical, in your face, or overwhelming, right? But this space is designed to meet you exactly where you are, whether you're brand new and still asking what Bitcoin even is, or you've been curious for a while but never felt comfortable enough asking your questions out loud, or maybe you've been contributing to the space for years. Today is about building understanding from the ground up. So over the next 2 days, you're going to hear thoughtful conversations, practical explanations, and very honest perspectives. Our goal is that you walk away with a much stronger foundation and the confidence to continue learning at your own pace. And with that, I'd like to introduce one of my co-hosts and co-organizers, Efrat Fenigson.
Hello, great to be with you, Nat. And Christine, thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. So without further ado, before we go any further in the schedule, I just want to share something. This is a safe, beginner-friendly space. No question is too simple. If you've ever felt intimidated by financial conversation, by technology, or by rooms that felt dominated by jargon, this is not that. Bitcoin can feel intimidating. We know that. There are new words, there are new ideas, strong opinions, yet it doesn't have to feel intimidating. We're here to discuss and understand money, ownership, and participation in a system that affects all of us. We're not here to convince anyone of anything, but rather to give you tools for you to evaluate for yourself, ask questions freely, and connect with other women. So thank you for being here. Christine?
Hello. I am Christine Marie Turner, if you don't know me. Really, it's bringing tears to my eyes to see so many people involved and from all over the world. And when we began envisioning this summit, we kept coming back to one simple truth, that we created this space for you, so that you can make informed, competent decisions. You deserve to understand how the system impacts you and your family's financial future. And money shapes so many parts of our lives. It shapes opportunity, it shapes security, time, and freedom. And yet many of us were never taught how the system actually works. And that gap creates uncertainty. So education changes that. Education creates competence. Competence creates participation. So when women understand the system, they ask better questions. They can build better solutions. They can protect their families and contribute to their communities in more powerful ways. And so this summit is truly about empowerment through understanding and education. And we want you to feel leaving here more informed and more capable of engaging with this topic in a way that aligns with you and your values. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, Christine Marie and Efrat. And now we are honored to introduce someone who has been such a leader in bringing Bitcoin into serious policy conversations in Washington, D.C. U.S. Senator Cynthia Lummis has been one of the most consistent voices advocating for clear regulation, financial innovation, and responsible integration of Bitcoin into the American financial system. Her leadership has really helped elevate this conversation from the margin to the national stage. So without further ado, Senator Cynthia Lummis, America's Bitcoin Senator.
Well, hello to the women in Bitcoin. I'm Senator Cynthia Lummis. I wish I could be with you all in person today, but I really appreciate that Natalie Brunell has asked me to say a few words. To all the remarkable women gathered here today, you really are pioneers. You're builders. You're absolutely essential to Bitcoin's future. For far too long, women have been locked out or marginalized in traditional financial systems. We're either told we're risk adverse or unfamiliar with finance, and that we should let others make decisions about our money. But Bitcoin changes that. You know, I can remember when I was state treasurer and was invited to speak at the Wyoming Bankers Association about how the state was managing its money. I was the only woman in the room with traditional banking. Now that's getting better. That was 25 years ago, but it's been slow. It's not slow in Bitcoin. I was even shocked when I was in Bitcoin 2020, what it would have been, 4 in Nashville, and how many women attended that lunch. It was inspiring to see you all there, because you know, Bitcoin is freedom money. We can harness it because it doesn't care about whether we're men or women. It doesn't care about your last name. Whether a bank executive thinks you're credit worthy. It's permissionless. We don't have to ask permission to a bank to take out a loan in our name alone without our husbands or our fathers signing on with us. It's borderless. You can spend it all over the world and take it with you everywhere you go. It gives every single woman the power to be her own bank. And so many of the women in this room have seized this opportunity. You're mining, you're running nodes, you're building businesses, you have your own wallets, and you're educating your communities. When I first started talking about Bitcoin in the Senate, some of my colleagues were incredulous. Why would someone like me like Bitcoin? Why would I spend so much time reading about it and learning about it? But that's exactly the point. Bitcoin isn't just for Wall Street or Silicon Valley. It's for women across the globe who recognize that financial independence is critical. Bitcoin is the great equalizer. And that's why the work we're doing in Washington matters so much. And the work you're doing together matters so much. I've spent my years in the Senate fighting to create a regulatory environment where Bitcoin can thrive. I'm sponsoring the Bitcoin Act, which is about creating a strategic Bitcoin reserve to shore up American innovation and protect the work you're doing right now. It's about building a better, stronger America for our daughters and our grandchildren, and ensuring women have access to the most powerful tool for financial sovereignty that's ever existed. So thank you so much for educating, advocating, and being the face of this movement and showing the world what Bitcoin is really about. So here's to the Women in Bitcoin Digital Summit. May it be the first of many successful events to come. Thank you, Natalie, for inviting me to speak, and thank all of you for your work in the world of Bitcoin.
We are so grateful to you, U.S. Senator Cynthia Lummis. We hope you enjoy your retirement. We're going to miss you representing us in the U.S. Senate. Efrat?
Yeah, and now to the slides we have prepared for you. Let's bring them up.
Yes, and before we get into our first presentation, we just want to highlight again how grateful we are to our platinum sponsors, Rhino Bitcoin and Abundant Minds. And specifically, we want to thank Christine Marie Turner, because it's your vision that made this summit into a reality. So let's jump right into it, because whether you're completely new to Bitcoin or you've been curious for a while, this space is designed just for you. Again, no judgment, no jargon, just honest conversation about money and the future. And today, Efrat and I are going to walk you through what Bitcoin actually is, why it matters, and why so many people around the world are paying attention. And we're starting at the very beginning with the story of money itself, because once you understand what money really is, Bitcoin starts to make a whole lot of sense. So I want to ask you to do something brave first. Let's hit the next slide. Set aside everything you've heard about Bitcoin from the news, from social media, or that one friend at dinner who either loves it or hates it. Most of what gets amplified is really noise, right? Market crashes, price predictions, fear-driven headlines. That is the left side of this image. It's designed to overwhelm you. The right side is the signal. And the signal is really simple. Bitcoin is a technology that's quietly changing how money works around the world. And when you tune out the noise, the picture becomes so remarkably clear. So today, we're going to be focusing on the signal altogether. Okay, Efrat?
Yeah. All right. So money has never stayed the same. It's evolved alongside us as a civilization, from trading seashells and livestock to minting gold coins to printing paper notes to swiping plastic cards. Every version of money has reflected the technology of its time. When we figured out metallurgy, we got coins. When we built printing presses, we got paper bills. When computers arrived, money went digital. So here's the question. If money has always evolved with technology, what does money look like in the age of the internet? That's exactly what Bitcoin answers. The story of money has been unfolding for thousands of years, and Bitcoin is the next logical step in that story. Understanding that progression helps you see that Bitcoin isn't as radical as it might seem. It's actually quite a natural revolution. Sorry, evolution. Yeah, it is a revolution as well. Okay, next slide. Throughout history, one of the biggest challenges of money has been keeping track of it. Who owes what to whom? In ancient Mesopotamia, they carved records into clay tablets. Later, handwritten ledgers tracked debts and trades. Today, banks use enormous servers to maintain their records. The technology changed, but the concept stayed the same. Someone needs to hold the books. But here's the critical point. In every era, those ledgers were controlled by someone, a temple priest, a king, a bank, or a government. Whoever controls the ledger controls the money. Bitcoin changes that equation entirely by creating a ledger that no single person or institution controls. And that's a bigger deal that most people realize. Right, Nat?
Absolutely. And before money existed, what did people do? They bartered. It's hard to imagine that that was the experience. You know, I'll trade you my chickens for your beautifully crafted shoes. But what if you don't want a chicken? Barter created this incredibly complex web of mismatched wants. Imagine trying to buy your groceries that way. So, money solved this by creating a very universal language of value. Instead of needing the double coincidence of wants, you agree on one thing that really represents value. That's money. And suddenly everyone could trade with anyone around the world. And money is a system for really simplifying human cooperation. And the better the money, the better we can cooperate. So keep that in mind as we talk about what makes a form of money good versus bad. Next slide. I love this quote from Andreas Antonopoulos because it reframes how we think about money. We tend to think of money as a thing, right? A coin, a bill, maybe a number in your bank account, but really, money is a form of communication. It's a shared language. And when you pay someone, you're communicating how much you value what they've done. When you save money, you're communicating your values to your future self. And just like language, money works best when everyone can agree on the meaning and trust that it won't change overnight, which we see in places around the world. So when money loses its value through things like inflation, that communication starts to really break down and you start to question whether you can afford things in the future. But Bitcoin offers a language of value that cannot be rewritten by any single authority. Efrat?
Yeah. So, what makes money good? Economists generally agree on three key functions. First, it needs to be a store of value, meaning it should hold its worth over time. If you work hard and save, the effort shouldn't evaporate. Secondly, it needs to be a medium of exchange, something you can easily use to buy and sell things. Third, it should serve as a unit of account, a reliable yardstick for measuring and comparing value. And why should this matter for you personally? The money most of us use every day, the dollar, the euro, the pound, is failing at that first function that we mentioned. It's not storing value well at all. A dollar today buys significantly less than it did even 5 years ago. When your savings lose purchasing power, just sitting in the bank account, something is fundamentally broken. And that's exactly the problem that Bitcoin was designed to fix.
Yes, and this next
Okay.
slide illustrates the Cantillon effect, one of the most important economic concepts that most people around the world have unfortunately never even heard of. When central banks create new money, and they can create trillions of dollars or other currencies, they're essentially borrowing that money into existence, and the money does not reach everyone equally. The people closest to the money printer or the money spigot, which are the big banks, the well-connected institutions, the wealthy, the giant corporations, they get access to that new money first, and they get access to it before prices rise. But by the time it reaches working families and average people around the world, prices have actually now gone up, and they can't afford what once was so affordable. So this is why so many people feel like they're just on this constant treadmill. They're working harder and harder, but they feel like they're falling behind. And with regards to purchasing power, they are. So it is not your imagination. And it's also, importantly, not your fault. This system is structurally designed to benefit those closest to the money printer, and it's designed so that your money loses purchasing power. And this really disproportionately affects women, single mothers, hourly workers, and anyone on a fixed income. So understanding this is really about protecting yourself and your family. Efrat?
Yeah. Here's another issue most of us don't think about until it happens to us. The money in our bank account isn't fully under our control. Banks can freeze our accounts, governments can impose capital controls, payment processors can decide who gets to participate in the economy. We saw this play out dramatically in Canada, and we'll come back to this example later. And it happens regularly in countries around the world. Today's financial network are digital, yes, but they're not open. They're closed loops that require permission at every turn. Permission to open an account, permission to send money, permission to access your own funds. For the 1.4 billion adults worldwide who are unbanked, many of them are women, this system is inconvenient and exclusionary. Bitcoin offers an alternative, a financial system that anyone can join anytime, anywhere, without permission. And that's what I love.
That's what I love too. So, how does Bitcoin address these problems? Let's go over Bitcoin's superior properties. First, very importantly, Bitcoin is scarce. It has a finite cap. Only 21 million coins will ever exist. It's also decentralized. So, no company, no government, no bank, no group of fallible human beings controls it. And it's also permissionless. You don't need anyone's approval to use the network. And Bitcoin is blind to your net worth. It's also borderless. You can send it anywhere in the world in minutes. Try doing that with a gold bar. And it's divisible. You can start with just a few dollars or yen or euros worth. It's censorship resistant. No one can stop your transaction. It's verifiable. You can confirm everything on the public ledger. It's durable. It doesn't degrade or decay because it's not physical. And all these properties together create something truly unprecedented, which is sound money for the digital age.
Awesome. Now, Bitcoin is also called freedom money. As we mentioned, it's permissionless, no need for an ID, a credit score, or a bank account to participate, just a smartphone or a PC. It's censorship resistant, no one can freeze your Bitcoin or prevent you from transacting, and it's global. Value moves fast across borders, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Think about what that means for a woman fleeing domestic violence who needs to protect her savings, or a mother sending money to family overseas without losing a huge cut to fees, or a small business owner who's been denied a bank account. Sorry, Bitcoin is way more than a financial tool in these cases. It's an empowerment tool. It gives individuals sovereignty over their own wealth.
That's right. So let's talk about Bitcoin's absolute digital scarcity, because this is really one of the most groundbreaking things about Bitcoin. In the digital world, pretty much everything can be copied: photos, music, documents, even money, of course, that central banks just create out of thin air. But Bitcoin broke that pattern. And for the first time in history, we have something digital that cannot be duplicated. And there are tens of thousands of imitations that have been created, but none of them, as we know, hold a candle to Bitcoin. It is verifiably scarce. It is distributed globally, and it's backed by something that no one can print, which is energy. And roughly 80% of all US dollars in existence were created in just the last few decades. So think about that. The printing never stops when it comes to fiat currency, but Bitcoin's supply follows a fixed programmatic schedule that will be complete by the year 2140. And this absolute scarcity is what gives Bitcoin its power as a store of value. Gold was valuable also because it's scarce, but Bitcoin takes that concept and makes it actually mathematically perfect. Next slide is we want to talk about the protection of purchasing power because that's so important, and we want to just make this real. 10 years ago in 2016, the median home price in America was about $288,000. But by 2025, it had climbed to $434,000. So in dollar terms, housing keeps getting more expensive and wages have not kept pace. And we all feel that. That's your purchasing power eroding because of inflation. And it's this silent tax that hits hardest when you're saving for a home, for retirement, and for your kids' futures. But look at the same homes priced in Bitcoin. In 2016, that house cost 664 Bitcoin. By 2020, it was 45 Bitcoin. And by 2024, just 6.5 Bitcoin. So when you live on the Bitcoin standard, the cost of living is actually going down. And that's what sound monetary standards look like. Your savings actually grow in purchasing power. You feel economically empowered rather than the opposite. And it's not hypothetical. This is actually what is happening. Efrat?
Yep. And Bitcoin is also a network. So until now, we refer to Bitcoin as a currency, but Bitcoin is also a network. And that's an important distinction. Think about the networks that run the modern world. The internet moves information, shipping networks move commodities and goods, airlines move people. Bitcoin is a network that moves value. And like the internet, it has no center, no headquarters, no CEO, and no single point of failure. This is what makes Bitcoin so resilient. You can't shut it down by raiding an office or arresting a leader because there is no office and there is no leader. It's maintained by hundreds of thousands of computers around the world, all following the same transparent rules. It's open, anyone can join. It's lean, there are no middlemen taking a cut, and it's decentralized. Power is distributed, not concentrated. That's a fundamentally different model from the financial system we have today. And here's a beautiful analogy. Think about your DNA. Every single cell in your body contains the complete blueprint for your entire organism. That biological redundancy is what makes life resilient. If some cells are damaged, the information isn't lost because it's stored everywhere. Bitcoin works much the same way. Every node on the network holds a complete copy of the entire transaction history, every transaction forever. That means there's no single vault to rob, no single server to hack, no single institution to corrupt. The ledger exists on tens of thousands of computers simultaneously, and they all agree on the truth. It's the most transparent and secure accounting system ever created. You don't have to trust a bank to keep honest books. You can verify it yourself. And that shift from trust to verification is no less than revolutionary. Now, in our current system, we're asked to trust a lot of people and institutions, trust that central banks won't print too much money, trust that your bank will be solvent, trust that politicians will make the responsible fiscal decisions. And time again, that trust has been broken. Bitcoin replaces that trust with verification. The rules are known in advance, written into code, and they cannot be changed by any individual or group. I love the phrase rules without rulers. Bitcoin gives us a monetary system where the rules are predictable, transparent, and enforced by math, rather than institutions. You don't need to trust anyone. You can verify everything yourself on the blockchain. Isn't it about time that in a world where trust in institutions is declining, we'll have a financial system built on mathematical certainty rather than broken promises? Nat?
Well, one reason Bitcoin is so hard to understand at first is that it doesn't really fit neatly into any existing category. It's not just a currency, it's not just a network, and it's not just a ledger. It's actually all three fused together. The unit is the token that you hold and can transfer. The network is this global infrastructure that validates transactions. And the ledger is the shared record that all of us can verify no matter where we are. And nothing like this has ever existed before. It is a genuinely new human invention. And like the internet was a whole new category when it first arrived, um, Bitcoin is very, very similar. And it's just going to take time for the world to fully grasp its implications. So let's talk a little bit about fiat versus Bitcoin. Let's put the differences side by side. Fiat money, the dollars, euros, yen that you earn, is all centralized, meaning a small political group controls it. And it also has, importantly, unlimited supply. It's permissioned. You actually need approval to use it from your bank. And it's inflationary by design. Your money is designed to lose value over time. And Bitcoin is the complete opposite. It is decentralized. No one controls it. You have the fixed supply of 21 million coins, and no one can ever make more. Again, it's also permissionless, so any of us can use it, and it's disinflationary. So the rate of new Bitcoin created actually decreases over time, making each coin potentially much more valuable. Hopefully, by now you have a much better understanding of your choices, and certainly I know I would pick Bitcoin. So let's talk about how it's purpose-built for the digital age, because gold is scarce, but again, try sending a gold bar across the ocean. It's slow, it's expensive, and the whole process and infrastructure behind it is very, very complicated. Fiat currency moves easily through digital systems, but again, governments can print unlimited amounts, which creates inflation and destroys our purchasing power. So both have strengths, but critical weaknesses. Bitcoin comes in and combines the best of both worlds. It has the scarcity of gold. It's actually more scarce than gold. And then it combines that with the speed of the internet. It is a digital native money built from the ground up for the world that we live in today. And you can send it anywhere on earth in minutes, and it costs almost nothing to transfer. So it's really, really accessible no matter where you are in the world, and no one can ever make more of it. Efrat?
Bingo. Let's take a look at a real life example. We mentioned Canada before. So in early 2022, Canadian truck drivers organized a peaceful protest in Ottawa and throughout Canada. Regardless of where you stand on the politics, what happened next was remarkable. The Canadian government invoked emergency powers and froze the bank accounts of ordinary citizens who had donated to the cause. Crowdfunding platforms were shut down. People's financial lives were disrupted without any criminal charges or due process. But something else also happened. Supporters turned to Bitcoin, and those donations could not be stopped, frozen, or reversed. Bitcoin worked exactly as designed, as unstoppable, censorship-resistant money. This is real-world demonstration of why permissionless money matters. The principle is clear. In a world where access to your own money can be switched off at any moment, having a backup that no one can control is a necessity. Now, sometimes people dismiss Bitcoin as an abstract concept or internet money that doesn't connect to the real world, but look at these images. Real communities are forming around Bitcoin all over the globe. Developers are building, merchants are accepting payments, meetups and conferences are bringing people together from El Salvador to Nigeria to Prague, Lugano, or the US. I feel chills just saying that, or so many more places. Bitcoin is being used every single day. And this community is remarkably diverse. It's not just your tech bros in Silicon Valley. I have seen, and we also have here in the audience today, communities of women entrepreneurs, single mothers, small business owners, students, artists, educators, activists, you name it. people who believe in financial inclusion, in sound money, and in building a better future for the next generation. And this one excites me even more. So one of the most exciting developments in the Bitcoin space is the emphasis on education, especially for children and young people. Books are being written, libraries are being built, and curricula are being developed to teach kids about money, savings, and financial sovereignty from a very young age. These are real projects happening in schools and communities around the world. I witnessed them myself whenever I travel. The past few years, that's what I do. And I believe financial literacy is one of the greatest gifts we can give the next generation. Bitcoin education is at the heart of that. When a child understands what money is, how it works, and why savings matters, they're equipped to make better decisions for their entire lives. The fact that this movement is reaching children in underserved communities around the world tells you something about its values. The people driving these amazing projects are not trying to get rich. They really care about sharing knowledge and creating opportunity. Nat?
So incredible, Efrat. Let's talk
Yeah.
about the separation of money and state, because this is a really big idea and we need to put it into context. There was a time, of course, and I'm sure we all learned about it in history class, when religion and government were inseparable. But over centuries, society recognized that separating those powers was essential for human freedom. That separation didn't happen overnight, but most of us would agree it was the right move. And many in the Bitcoin community believe we are at a similar crossroads when it comes to money, that when the government controls the money supply, it can fund wars, bail out favored industries, and inflate away all of our savings without our consent. So Bitcoin offers a monetary system independent of political influence. It separates money from state. You don't have to agree entirely to see the value in having at least one form of money that no government can manipulate, but I would say that most of us believe that is essential for freedom going forward. And what ways are there to acquire Bitcoin? How do you actually get it? Well, there are several different ways, and you can use exchanges to buy Bitcoin with your bank account. You can mine it, and we'll have more information on that throughout the summit. You can earn it through your work, or you can gain exposure to Bitcoin through ETFs on major stock exchanges. And those have been a great on-ramp for things like retirement accounts and institutions like pension funds and educational endowments. But there's an important caveat we really need to mention. ETFs provide exposure to Bitcoin and Bitcoin's price, but you're not holding the actual asset. So my advice is pick one method. I prefer self-custody with Bitcoin. It's not too intimidating. You can start small, learn as you go. You don't need a whole Bitcoin, even just a few dollars or whatever fiat currency for where you live. Even just a little bit is a meaningful first step. And that's the most important thing to know at the beginning. Efrat?
Yep, I agree. And, we're looking at the future. So we're living through a monetary transition these days, and this slide captures it beautifully. The gold standard was the foundation of sound money for centuries, but it was abandoned in 1971 when the US disconnected the dollar from gold. Since then, we've been living in the fiat era, where money is backed by nothing but government promises. And those promises have led to endless money printing, rising inequality, and a system that's increasingly fragile. The arrow is pointing towards a Bitcoin standard, a future where money is once again scarce, verifiable, and beyond the control of any single authority. We're still early in this transition, and nobody knows exactly how it will unfold, but the winds are shifting. Institutions are buying Bitcoin, countries are mining it and adopting it, and individuals like you are getting educated about it. That's a smart, courageous move, and it puts you ahead of the curve. Yeah.
That's right, Efrat. So thank you so much for being here with us today and for opening your minds to something completely new. I know Bitcoin, again, it can feel so overwhelming at first. I was there when I first started in Bitcoin, but remember, you don't have to understand everything all at once. This is a journey and such a rewarding one. And the fact that you showed up you're here at this summit and you're asking questions puts you so far ahead of the vast majority of people. So if you take one thing away today, just let it be this. Bitcoin is so much more than money. It's about freedom. It's about opportunity. It's about making this unfair system more fair, leveling the playing field. And it's really about the future. And the future is being shaped right now by people like all of you, women who care about their families, their communities, and the world that we're living in. So keep learning, keep asking questions, and know that Efrat, Christine Marie, and I are always here as resources. So welcome to Bitcoin. Thank you so much for joining us. Let's now spend the next 10 or so minutes answering your questions.
Beautiful. Thank you, Nat. All right, Christine, you will join us and take some questions if we have any. How's the chat going?
The chat has been so active. We're so excited to see it.
It's so
Wow.
active. And shout out to Sydney and Haley who are handling the chat and answering the questions. But one of the questions that came up multiple times is how can Bitcoin be a store of value when it's so volatile?
That's
Nat,
a
do you
great
want-
question. It's one that I tackle so many times in my educational webinars. And I think that the simple answer is you really have to zoom out. Compare it to something like, let's say you do own a home or you'd like to own a home in the future. You don't check the price of your home on a daily basis, right? It's something that you hold for the long term. And then 10, 15 years from now, it's something that you can probably use in order to, start a business or take care of your family or move somewhere else. It's the same for Bitcoin. It's something that when you zoom out, yes, it's volatile in the short term. And if you look at a daily price chart, it looks like a heart monitor. But when you zoom out, it's going up and to the right. And when you compare it to something like fiat currency, the purchasing power of your dollar, it's the complete opposite. On a relative basis, day to day, your currency is pretty stable, but zoom out and after 10, 15 years, you've pretty much just have had all of your purchasing power and saving ability destroyed. So I would prefer something that's short-term volatile. And I know that keeps all of us on edge, in the weeks and months when people are trading. But when you zoom out, it really helps you maintain and grow your purchasing power more than almost any other asset that's out there. And certainly one that I think is more accessible than almost anything.
Awesome. I'm going to show Hayden. So Hattie, sorry if I mispronounced your name. If there's a limit of 21 million in total, wouldn't that mean there will be some people on the BTC standard and others not? Therefore, haves and haves not, which will create a divide in massive wealth for those who participate versus those who do not.
Christine, do you want to take that since you're in mining, knowing so well what happens then?
Well, I would say it's not just for mining, but in general, when you have a scarce monetary asset, when there are people that are late to the party and may not have accumulated Bitcoin while some others have over time, that makes it even more valuable, right? So that is like the whole underlying theme of the scarcity of 21 million is that when we all mine and own all of the 21 million, the value goes up because now what I have worth is more because you can't just make or create more, or you can't just buy more. You can on an exchange buy more, but it's going to be more expensive because what is left in the supply or of the 21 million Bitcoin is more valuable because there's only a limited supply. So
Yeah.
in regard to mining, yes, there are in about a week or so, there will be 1 million Bitcoin left to mine, and it will be mined over, I think, the next 114 years. So that makes it scarce enough. But in mining, after all of the Bitcoin is mined, the transaction fees from the transactions sent over the network are what will allow miners to have income.
Yeah.
I just want to
exactly.
add something to that,
Yes.
which is that Bitcoin is actually much more egalitarian as a form of money than anything we have seen in a long time because of how accessible it is. So since there's a finite cap but each Bitcoin is divisible into 100 million Satoshis. The distribution over time continues to increase. And we've seen it even in the last few years, right? These whales and these OGs who have accumulated so many coins finally selling them into the market and the distribution growing again. And there have been some recent charts put out by River, which is a fantastic Bitcoin exchange, that show that individuals still own the majority of coins. And that's going to continue to be distributed across more individuals around the world. We're not at the billions mark yet, but pretty soon billions of people will have access to Bitcoin because, again, even though there are 21 million coins, you can divide that into a lot of Satoshis, and there will always be a market price for those and always an entry point. I mean, today you can get 1,000 Satoshis for almost nothing. And I think that that will be worth a lot someday. I think as we continue in a world where Bitcoin grows in adoption, people will be denominating things in Satoshis as opposed to whole Bitcoins. We're just not there yet. We're so early. But where in fiat, wealth tends to concentrate over time. And we've seen that, obviously. We have that Cantillon effect, the cantillionaires, the rich getting richer because everything concentrates closest to where the money printer is. It's the opposite in Bitcoin. There is no central money printer. And so over time, the coins get distributed more and more. You have to provide value or expend resources to get them. So over time, Bitcoin is actually a much more egalitarian and more distributed economic system than anything we've seen.
I totally agree with that. And I just want to add that for those of you who are looking at Bitcoin as an investment, then it is probably smart to start getting some now and getting off zero, what we say, because we are in that gold rush era of accumulating Bitcoin. And as you can see, if you've been following, the price is going up in a long-term lens. So when you look at it, zoom out 16 years, you look at the price going up all the time. So if now Bitcoin is about $70,000, you can wake up tomorrow morning or next week and it will go up to 80 and 90 and 100. So if you do want to get in, it's probably a good idea to do it now. This is probably a gold rush era that we're in, and the prices will go up since this is a very scarce asset.
I am going to hop to, just because this has been in the chat a lot and also in the Q&A, I'm not going to share the question because multiple people have had it, but a lot of people are asking our thoughts on other tokens. Instead of Bitcoin. And I know we have a lot to say on that. So Efrat, Natalie, what do you think?
Right. So crypto versus Bitcoin. Everyone says, but Bitcoin is a cryptocurrency, right? So it's a crypto coin. And what about all the other cryptos? So what Nat and I have spent now about 25-30 minutes showing you, those characteristics, those properties that Bitcoin has, most of the other cryptocurrencies don't have that, especially the one related to decentralization and the fact that there is no one authority, one office, one company called, I don't know, ripple.com or, whatever other token you're interested in, Ethereum or whatever. There is always a central entity that creates and issues those tokens. And because of that, first of all, they can issue as much as they want. And by doing that, they debase everyone that holds that token. And secondly, there is a risk there because there is an entity that have created those tokens and they can be put down, shut down, regulated to death, I don't know, like put in jail or whatever. Bitcoin is totally different. Imagine the internet in the beginning, like the 80s, the 90s, you started seeing internet popping everywhere. There were servers coming up everywhere, people starting to use it, and it slowly grew. Bitcoin is the same. It's a decentralized network, and you see the nodes and the servers just popping around the world on a regular basis. It just becomes stronger and stronger and more secure the more it is decentralized. And it's a very important property that the other cryptocurrencies don't have. Nat, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the easiest way to remember the difference is Bitcoin is an asset with no issuer. It is a true commodity. It is a form of digital property in the same way that there's, no CEO or foundation or organization or government behind gold or trees or oil. Bitcoin is the same way. And so it has grown to be so distributed. It is backed by energy. And it represents all these unique properties that can't be said for other cryptocurrencies that are out there. Many have tried, many have even taken Bitcoin's code and copied it, but it's just too difficult to replicate that type of distribution that it has achieved. And many of the other tokens out there, just be aware that there are issuers. There is a foundation and a marketing team and people whose careers and reputations depend on that token. So be very, very careful. A lot of them are speculative. I would equate them more to digital securities rather than a digital commodity like Bitcoin. And so they do carry much more risk.
Awesome. Just want to point out some of the things in the Q&A. So some people asked about security. We do have a panel on security. So if you can make that panel, I would suggest going there and asking some of those more specific questions about custody and cold wallets. As well as there are some mining questions in the chat. We also have an energy and mining panel. So I would suggest coming to that panel tomorrow and then asking some of those questions so we can fine tune those answers for you.
I also saw some more basic questions. This will be streamed later. We're going to be publishing this. So for folks that missed it or they started late, this will be available on various platforms. So make sure that you're following both myself, Efrat, Christine Marie, the Abundant Minds channels, the Women of Bitcoin Twitter page, X page, and we'll make sure to update you so that you can catch up on any streams that you missed. And obviously we'll have these dual panels. So if you missed one, you wanted to see the other, you'll have the opportunity to do that as well.
You'll also have access to all replays for 3 months. So if you want to revisit these on your own, you will get an email after this event ends, and it will allow you to watch those.
And I'll just add that if you're watching us on any of the live streams, you better sign up if you want to continue watching us, because it was only the first hour that we put out there.
That's right.
Christine, any other questions before we move on?
There's a lot. I'm just looking for more basic ones than niche type ones.
I also saw some questions just about starting your own, women's groups, women's events. The great thing about this, just like with Bitcoin, is you don't have to ask for anyone's permission. You can just get started. Today we literally, that's why I said off the top, thank you so much to Christine Marie, because this was her vision and we manifested it into reality with a lot of hard work behind the scenes. And anyone can do this around the world. Don't ask for anyone's permission. You might have some hiccups and make some mistakes, but you learn so much along the way. And I know that there are so many people who just want to connect and feel like they're not alone in this crazy world with everything that's going on. So, just start. And I think AI tools offer some great resources so that you can, get yourself prepared, find out how to meet others, how to create, a local retreat or summit or seminar. I think if you can think it, you can do it. So I really encourage people, if they would like to do that in their own regions, get after it.
Yeah, and just Google meetup in your own city. You will find most probably that there are Bitcoiners where you live and you can catch up with them. It's a lot of fun and they'll be very welcoming on the most part.
I have one final question that we'll take. They'll probably talk about this more in the communities panel, but Buttercup asks, what do you think needs to happen in order for Bitcoin to be more used as money and not only as a store of value?
Yeah, well, I think there's a natural evolution, as we saw in some of the slides. When money becomes accepted worldwide, it has to go through phases. And the first phase is always store of value. And you see every medium or every technology that served as money in the past started as a store of value. And after a certain period of time, it was also adopted as a medium of exchange. So it's a psychological and a network effect more than anything. People need to start learning, educating themselves, getting used to that new form of money, new technology. And that starts trickling down in society when people start showing each other how it works and why it's good. And so we Bitcoiners always love saying we are so early, because we are so early. And we're, on the most part, especially in the West, in Western countries, we are still using and looking at Bitcoin as a store of value. That's its core use case today, but going into the future, you're going to see that being used as a medium of exchange. And you already have amazing examples in the US. For example, you have Square that have turned on the ability to accept Bitcoin for 4 million merchants around the US. Just one example. Lugano has more than 400 merchants accepting Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. Prague has 1,500 merchants that are accepting Bitcoin as a medium of exchange. So El Salvador, of course, there are many, many places around the world that are already doing that. It takes time. It just takes time, I think.
Yeah, and just to add to that, if you want to see it used as a medium of exchange, use it more. See if people accept Bitcoin. When you have the opportunity to tip in Bitcoin, I think this is a great way to help people when they're first starting out. Help them download a wallet and send them Satoshis as maybe a little tip for a service or an Uber drive or something. Really encourage your local stores and the businesses that you work with to accept Bitcoin. And that's really the bigger point is something has to incentivize us to part with our best performing savings technology. So I think the more that Bitcoin adoption grows, you're going to see merchants and companies saying, hey, we want to be paid in Bitcoin. We'll offer you a discount if you pay in Bitcoin, or we only accept Bitcoin. I think that those avenues are just going to continue to grow. But if you own a business or you know someone who does, really, start to encourage them. And I'm excited to see some steps in that direction. Steak and Shake and some of these massive brands are now accepting Bitcoin. You can pay in sats. That's something that I did last year. And it's really, really fun. And visit the areas that have local Bitcoin circular economies everywhere from El Salvador to Guatemala to South Africa. There are so many places that are accepting Bitcoin. So go out there, visit them, and spend some sats.
And we have
all
a
right, in
panel
just a few minutes.
too.
Yeah, that's right. All right. In just a few minutes, we're going to move into the networking and education hall. And I just want to share that in the education hall, you're going to explore very specific topics with more individualized attention. And then in the networking area, you can connect with each other and other women in the space. And that's really your time to ask beginner questions and connect with others and explore very trusted resources. After 30 minutes, you will choose your track for the next portion of the program. So be sure to come back on at that time. And you're going to choose between track A, which is what's going on with money right now, and track B, which is Bitcoin in real life. And Efrat has some messages about our sponsors.
That's right. So before we move on, we want to take a moment to thank our platinum sponsors. So first, Rhino Bitcoin. Rhino is a Bitcoin-only financial services platform built to help people save, spend, and grow their wealth using sound money. Rhino connects traditional banking to Bitcoin's limited supply and clear rules so everyday users can protect purchasing power and build long-term resilience. We are grateful for Rhino's support of this summit. Thank you so much. And Rhino has put together 2 amazing giveaways for you. The first one is 20 attendees will each win 50,000 sats. Sats is the unit, the small unit of Bitcoin, which is worth about $35 worth of Bitcoin. So tomorrow at the closing celebration, we'll announce the 20 winners. So join us then, don't miss that. And the second giveaway is all US attendees will receive $21 worth of Bitcoin. Watch the pop-up during the next panel. The next panel is titled What's Going On with Money Right Now? And also in the panel happening later, Protect Your Bitcoin. Or visit the landing page. We're putting actually the link in the chat right now. Can you guys put the link there? Great. So you guys can click on that. That's a link to their landing page of the giveaway, and you can apply over there. And let's see an ad from Rhino.
Women weren't taught how money actually works. Not how it's created, not why it loses value over time, not who gets to change the rules. So when conversations about Bitcoin start with price, predictions, or pressure, it's no surprise many women feel left out or overwhelmed. At Rhino, we believe education should come first. That's why we built Bitcoin for Women, a structured learning experience designed to explain money and Bitcoin clearly, calmly, and jargon-free. We start with the foundations. what money is, why inflation exists, how financial systems are designed. Then we explain Bitcoin, not as hyper ideology, but as a system worth understanding. And when you're ready, Rhino makes it simple to take that next step. As a summit attendee, if you download the Rhino app and complete registration during the event, we'll deposit $21 worth of Bitcoin into your Rhino wallet to help you get started. To receive your Bitcoin reward, just use the referral code WOBS2026 after completing registration. Download the Rhino Bitcoin app and begin your learning journey today.
Awesome. And our second platinum sponsor is Abundant Minds. We want to thank Abundant Minds for supporting this event, and especially Christine, as we said. Without her, this wouldn't have happened. Abundant Minds is a full-service Bitcoin mining company dedicated to expanding access to sound money through sustainable, high-performance operations. Special thanks to you, dear. You know, we honor you and appreciate you. You have been such an amazing pillar in this journey to do this. And Abundant Minds also has a brilliant giveaway for you. This is the big giveaway of our event. It's valued at over $3,000. One winner will receive an S19K. Yes, I know it sounds like Chinese, but that's the name of the miner. It's an S19K Pro Bitcoin mining rig with 1 full year of professional hosting at the Abundant Minds site, seamless setup, and Bitcoin delivered directly to the winner's wallet for a full year. The winner will be announced tomorrow at the closing celebration. Let's check out their ad.
Hi, I'm Christine Marie Turner, co-founder of Abundant Minds, and I'm so grateful that you're here. You just learned that there are 3 ways to acquire Bitcoin. You can buy it, you can accept it as payment, and you can mine it. But mining can feel complicated, technical, risky. Too often it leaves women on the sidelines. Abundant Minds exists to change that. As a woman co-founded company, we make Bitcoin mining accessible, transparent, and inclusive, not just for the insiders. When you partner with us, you own real mining machines fully managed by our expert team. No brokers, no middlemen, no hidden fees. 1 flat monthly cost and full transparency. You do not have to navigate this alone. Our team is here to answer your questions and help you explore Bitcoin mining with clarity and confidence. Women can own mining machines, women can build legacy wealth, and women can stand in full financial power. The future of money is being built right now, and we invite you to join us at Abundant Minds. Mine where you matter.
Awesome. Beautiful. Okay, so now we invite you to explore the education hall and networking lounges. Just to guide you, you'll soon see a screen with the upcoming sessions. Click reception or click the top left arrow to go back to reception. And then on the main menu, click either educational hall or lounge. When you enter any of the lounge booths, be sure to scroll down and join a table. Enjoy.